Hi, I'm Henry from Wilgen's Garden Center, and welcome to Perennial of the Week number 5, Shade Gardening. Our featured plant for this week is going to be Heuchera Palace Purple. Now, Heuchera Palace Purple, it's one of the older coral bells, but it's still a great plant to have in the garden. The nice thing about it is you get this wonderful dark foliage that's going to combine with a lot of your other shade plants to make some really great combinations. And what's nice is because it does keep a good color all season long, you will be able to combine this with a lot of different plants in your shade garden to make some really nice displays throughout the season. The coral bell is also going to work really great as a container plant too. I've used these a lot in containers. I've even had them over winter in the containers without any trouble. But it's a very versatile plant that's going to combine with so many different things. Hey, another great shade plant that's real versatile and easy to grow, and you can do several different things with it, is going to be Lamium or dead nettle. Now, Lamium or dead nettle, you can use this as a ground cover in a shaded garden. You could also use this in a container to spill off the side. And the nice thing about Lamium is that even when it's not in flower, it still has a great presence in the garden. It will get flowers to it in the spring and then sporadically thereafter, but this silvered foliage is what's going to make this plant really easy to use and to combine with a lot of different things. Going to stay on the smaller side, and if you don't like so much silver in the foliage, you could do something like this particular variety. This is one called Shell Pink, and Shell Pink's only going to have a little splashing of silver going down the center of the leaf as opposed to being all silvered, and it's going to have a really nice soft pink flower to it as well. And there's even purple and white forms of the dead nettles also. You know, a lot of shade plants are going to bloom in the spring, but there are some things that are going to bloom in the fall also to give you some great color then. One of the plants, and it's going to be native to the United States, is going to be this wonderful bugbane or Cimicifuga. Bugbane is going to be a taller plant for the garden. These can top out around 5 feet in height, but it's going to be more vertical height in your garden, not terribly wide. And these are going to be in color very soon. They're starting to bud up now, and these will open up to great pure white flowers off a really nice dark foliage. And this dark foliage is just going to get better as the plant ages, and it'll become richer and richer in the garden. Another great plant for the shade garden, and this will give you some great summer color in the garden, is going to be Astilbe. And Astilbe is a pretty wide group of plants. This is something that will come into bloom from June all the way into August with some varieties. And one variety in particular I want to mention is this wonderful Astilbe Delft Lace. Delft Lace is going to have this great coloration to the foliage, and then really nice, soft, pale pink flowers that are going to come above it. And this isn't going to get terribly tall, going to get to be about 18 inches in the garden approximately. But there are other colors as well for Astilbe. You'll find reds, you'll find whites, all shades of pinks, some purples, and there's all different sizes as well. Everything from probably 6 inches all the way up to 3 foot or more. So it's a pretty varied group that'll do great for the summer garden and shade. Another great group of plants for the shade garden that I think gets overlooked a lot of times is ferns. Ferns have a great, wonderful texture to them. They even have some good color to the fronds on certain species. For instance, like this fern, Branford Beauty. This is a type of Japanese painted fern. It was actually discovered here in the town of Branford, Connecticut. And this is going to get to be about 18 to 24 inches in the garden. It's going to have a real nice silver color to it. Also some nice little purplish red color to the stem as well. But kind of going with something a little bit more native for the garden, we have something, for instance, like this cinnamon fern. Cinnamon fern is going to be a native fern you can find growing out in the woods, especially near ephemeral ponds. And the great attraction to this fern is when the spore spike comes up out of the center of cinnamon fern, and that's where it gets its name. It has this great cinnamon color to the spore spike. It's very, very ornamental. Another one that's native for Connecticut is going to be this Christmas fern. And Christmas fern, what's nice about this is that this is a native evergreen fern, so it's actually going to keep a great presence in the winter as well. Obviously, one of the classic plants for a shaded garden is going to be Hosta. And a lot of people hear Hosta and they're just like, oh, I don't want to fill my shade garden up with Hosta. And you know what? Most of the time here at the Garden Center, that's not what I suggest that you do. What I actually think you should do is pick 1 or 2 hostas and use them as specimens in your garden to highlight and help accentuate the other plants that are in the shade garden as well. And a few of my favorites to choose from, and normally we usually carry around 75 plus varieties of hosta here at the garden center, but a few of my favorites are going to be this nice little dwarf. This is one called blue mouse ears. It's going to be a blue leafed hosta. This is only going to get to be approximately 4 to 5 inches in the garden and not too terribly big around. So if you have like a shade rock garden, this would be perfect. Or for the edge of a border, blue mouse ears would work out really well. Another one that's one of my favorites is going to be this Dawn's Early Light. And Dawn's Early Light, when this is first coming out in the spring, the color of this is so golden and sunny yellow. It's just absolutely breathtaking when you see it in the garden. It stands out really well. This is going to be a larger hosta, and as the season goes on, it will pick up more green tones in it to be more of a chartreuse in color, which still gives it a great presence in the garden, but the spring color on this is phenomenal. Another one that I really like and I have in my garden right now, this is one called Twilight. And Hosta Twilight is going to have a wonderful creamy yellow margin with the dark green in the center. This will be a medium-sized growing hosta, but in my garden, even with the heat we've had this summer, this hosta still looks absolutely incredible, even though it was still spring. One group of hostas that I really like personally is the fragrant hostas. And fragrant hostas are going to be obviously those that have fragrant flowers to them. And two in particular that I really like are going to be this Fragrant Bouquet. Fragrant Bouquet is going to be a larger hosta in the garden, and it's got this wonderful apple green with this soft creamy yellow edge around the edge of the leaf. And when the flowers come up out of this, they are just going to have this wonderful strong fragrance to them that I always suggest you should put somewhere either near where you're going to sit or by your deck, somewhere that you'll pick up the fragrance of the hosta and be able to enjoy it. Now another one is going to be this stained glass hosta. And this stained glass hosta is a real striking hosta. As you can see, the yellow that's in the center of this really jumps out at you, and this will also be a larger hosta with wonderfully fragrant flowers as well. Shade gardening doesn't have to be a disadvantage. Just look at this simple display with our stained glass hosta, our Palace Purple Coral Bell, our Lamium, and even our Christmas fern here. This is a real simple combination that's very effective in the garden. You can even change up the varieties if you want to and still get the same great appearance. You can even do this in a container as well. So really, shade gardening doesn't necessarily have to be all about flowers. It can be foliage as well, as these plants clearly demonstrate. And hopefully you'll come down to see us to hopefully plan out a shade garden for your home also, okay? I'm Henry from Wilgen, and thanks for watching us.